getting to sit down and come up with a joke out of nothing is it's never not been thrilling for me. When you've got this vague idea and it doesn't work and then it's, oh, wait, I got it. Like that'll never get old for me.
Welcome to Save More.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, you kidding?
Yeah. I'm not kidding.
So you're being totally serious when 100%. You say you're happy that I'm here.
100%.
I just wanted to establish that. You weren't you do mean that.
I do.
You are happy that I'm here.
I am thrilled.
Okay, ask your first question.
Okay, my first question is your new special. It is a special that's only airing audibly.
Yeah, it's just Audible. It's just audio, that's it, and it's on. It's just Audible, and it's on Audible. See what we... Sorry. You still happy I'm here?
I'm thrilled.
Okay, good. All right.
I've watched all 9 of your specials up until now.
This is the 10th. This is the 10th, yeah.
I've always liked, because you always do have a lot of physicality.
Right.
Yeah, but this is one where it's just Audible to throw back to specials of yesteryear. My
first 2 albums are just on album. They're just, on vinyl or on CD or wherever you want to listen to them. And my performances are so much looser and so much freer because what I realized was, and I was very happy to get the specials that I've done. I've done a lot of specials on TV, 4 Netflix ones, but you are thinking of other elements that have nothing to do with the comedy. And when I did this one, which we recorded at the Minetta Lane here in New York, and it took me about 20 minutes where I realized, it doesn't matter this is just a performance. This is just my voice and the audience, and this is how I grew up listening to comedy, and I also feel like this is just so much more portable. You download it on the app and you've got it. You've got a 1 hour of comedy whenever, if you're traveling or, I think even at one point in this, because it's very much Audible, it's like, at this point in the show, you should probably put the stuff that's in the washing machine in the dryer, because this is you can listen to this while you're doing stuff. Yeah,
as soon as I heard that come up, I was like, oh yeah, it's been about an hour.
Yeah, it's been about an hour. But my performance I'm so much more happier with it because I just realized I don't have to think about the set, the lighting, how I'm going to edit this afterwards. This is just this raw 1 hour, and we used pretty much one show. Of the shows that I did, we just did the one, and it feels so. I don't know. I haven't felt that good doing an album felt that free doing an album since my second album, where it's just like, I'm just talking. All it is the jokes and that's it.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I did stand up for about 10 years.
Here in New York?
Chicago first and then New York.
You started in Chicago?
I did.
Were you there when the Lincoln Lodge still existed?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I lived in Lincoln Park, so I lived not far from there at all.
Oh, nice.
And I used to go to, I used to go to Mike's all around that area, but like Jared Logan used to run one at Crush in Lincoln Park. But it was like 2003, 2004, so it's when a lot of those guys were like, who came out of there were like really kind of humming along.
Oh yeah.
But it was like pre-YouTube, it was pre all of that. So I was still going off of the albums that I grew up listening to.
Yes.
And then once YouTube and social media came into it, it's become a whole different game.
Well, it's a different ecosystem, especially in how people consume comedy. They expect comedy to be cut up into smaller bits for them. And there's a special I have coming out next year that I have filmed, and one of the problems that I'm getting, or at least one of the notes I'm getting, is you need to move around less and not think horizontally, try to think more vertically, because we want vertical clips to put on reels. And I was just like, oh my God, it's this whole, the way that the medium is delivering it, that affects how you do it. And that can be kind of frustrating with someone like me, that you said, I do like to pace around. I do like to have a whole stage, but that's going to be really interesting to see who adjusts and who doesn't. But that is something that always happens in the arts. There were silent films, then suddenly they were sound, then they were color, then there were, same with music, it was acoustic, then suddenly it's electric, then suddenly there's music videos, you got to think of the visual, then there's all the, the SoundCloud stuff. It always mutates, and people either evolve with it or they find a way to make what it is they do that really expresses who they are work in that new medium. So that's always interesting to see the people that go, yeah, I'm not going to actually I'm going to build my fan base on people that come back around to what I do.
Yeah.
You know?
So do you feel that doing this special in this way is you doing that? Because you are online.
Well,
you're very online.
Yeah, I am very online, but here's what's really weird about that. Because I've now done this special and it's only on audio and it's only on Audible. You go to the Audible app and you download it. Yeah, it's not visual at all, but it actually is more in keeping with how people consume their podcasts. They will listen to people talking while they're doing chores, while they're driving, while they're working out. So for all I know, maybe by going back to the way it used to be, it actually syncs up more with how people listen to stuff now. Because there's always also that thing, I mean, this people suddenly started buying vinyl again because they realized, there's a certain sound to vinyl that isn't, and now people are buying cassette tapes again. Partially for nostalgia, but partially because there was a certain sound they grew up on and they want that again.
Well, I grew up, my art form, but before I got into making videos and editing, making mixes was my introduction to all of that, because I would go hard into I used both sides and it all had to flow, and I would even mess with, I would record things off of the radio, it was a whole thing.
Were you one of those mixers? I would make mixtapes for people, but it was just the songs, and then I met mixtape people that did mixtapes, but then in between they'd play a snippet from a movie or a little sound. But did you do that?
I did.
So I
was very extra.
You were adding all kinds of stuff to it, and they would always do I remember a friend of mine made a mixtape for a party. This is so 90s, and then the one song ended. He goes, dude, listen, and it was Hannibal Lecter doing the fava beans line, and then when he finished it, and then Paul Revere and the Raiders' "Hungry" started playing. He goes, get it?
Right.
I'm like, yeah, dude. Yeah. Like he wanted to show off his skills.
Oh, I was and still am that asshole.
Really? You wanted? See what I did with the thing?
Yeah. But the transition. Did you get it though? Did you get it? My brothers and I still do that. My brother's 50th is this weekend, and our love language is sharing mixes back and forth with each other.
Oh.
So it's we found a sweet place with it. But anyone who's not us thinks that we're just pretentious assholes.
But now, do you do that with visuals as well? Because there's some amazing Instagram accounts that cut together similar themed visuals from movies and set it to a song, and it's kind of, or this guy at IndieWire, David Ehrlich, at the end of every year he does his top 25 movie countdown, but he cuts it together. The thing itself is a beautiful film, the way he cuts in all the movies, and he shows you how within a year of filmmaking, there's weird visual links to everything, and you're like, oh, the same image kind of kept happening across different films and different genres.
Yeah, I mean, that's so much of, I make films as well, and I edit. So when I edit those, it's that's nothing taught me that element more than that, because and also in stand-up too, where it's the little moments, the little things that you drop here are only going to hit there so the dude line that you bring back in this with your daughter. There was a laugh break, but it was just one little her response to you, but it nailed it because you built it up in the beginning.
Exactly. Without that beginning, that would just be a conversation between his dad and his daughter, but you realize all the weight that one word now carries because of that opening bit. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, I just remember, and not to brag, there's a couple of moments of this on my new album that I'm very proud of. When I would listen to early stuff by Nichols and May and Jonathan Winters and Richard Pryor, where obviously there were the punchlines where they would hit the punchline and the whole audience would laugh, boom. But then there were those moments where they were leading up to the punchline and just dropping little details and hints, and you would hear 2 or 3 people just lose it because oh my God, I got what that reference, oh my God, I just got what he did. Yeah. And those little moments when those connections are being made, it's again, a crowd, an audience is a verb. It is a gathering of people that will never happen again. It's a living, active thing, and it changes. During a really good show, it starts to grow and change and learn and put things together. Sometimes if the comedian doesn't know they're putting together, they'll notice things. So that's why I still love live performing so much, and I'm just so glad I captured some of those moments on this album. And anyone like us that listened to albums growing up, I remember, just as much as I remember the punchlines. I remember the moments when you would hear like a single person like, oh shit, that I loved that.
Those are my favorites. And growing up, like when I did theater growing up, I went to theater school. And my friends in high school would always get on me because they'd be like, "You're playing to that one guy in the back of the room." And it's true. I didn't care whether the one gut laugh from that one guy in the back meant so much more than a collective laugh.
You make such a connection that way. And also what it means is you surprise somebody. People are very self-conscious about laughing when no one else is laughing. So if you did something that got through to them on that level, then you really made a connection. You surprised them, and now you're being surprised that this thing that you didn't know would connect with anyone, it didn't connect with everyone, but it really connected with one. And what does that mean? So there's just that constant search that goes on when you perform every night of like, did you watch that show, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel? Of
course. I just finished a rewatch.
Yeah, there's a great sequence in the first season when she's out trying out material, and they do something that I'm so happy they did this, because a lot of times when they depict comedy, stand-up comedy in film and in fiction, they miss this aspect. She does this one bit, and then she does it one night and it kills, does it the next night and then it kills, does it the third night, nothing, then does it the fourth night and it kills again. And there are certain nights when certain bits that always kill, for some reason, they just don't land. And there's no, because again, an audience is a verb, it's a different thing every night.
It is.
And they captured that so perfectly.
They did, because they actually had actual working stand-ups as consultants.
Yep, they did.
Josh Gondelman, who I've known for years, was I think at least the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
And the fact that they really wanted to get that authenticity was I think really made that show for me.
Yeah, and it also, because it's set in a historical time period when there's clever little cameos, there's Yoko Ono, there's Jacobs, there's all these, but they are but some of this stuff is timeless. Some of this stuff it's the same thing over and over and over again. You know, that a lot of the stuff is same story with different people.
Right.
It just happens. It's weird how when in my scene in the early 90s, which then, a lot of us grew up and some got married and some stay with it, but then you see the next scene coming up and you go, oh, that's me, that's my, the same archetypes fall into the scene, and it just kind of happens over and over again.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because you've been in showbiz for a long time.
Mm-hmm. This isn't my first rodeo, kids. My first podcast I did was with Walter Winchell. Sorry.
Well, I was going back over your career, and there are so many milestones that you hit, that would have been career milestones for me, that were you did sketch with Mr. Show and Mad TV, sitcoms like Seinfeld and Dr. Katz, and News Radio, and then you did three of my favorite movies back to back. You did Man on the Moon, Magnolia, and Zoolander, and all of that before 2000.
Yeah.
And then, and before Ratatouille. And since then, and now it's you're going on shows, not just as a character, but as yourself. They're bringing you on to play Patton Oswalt.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is wild to me.
It feels very strange. Because you got to be careful how you then use yourself as a pop culture object, because you don't want to wear it out. But the fact that people wanted to have me on, like What We Do in the Shadows, how am I going to say no to that? Show's amazing. I'll play myself on that show, But I've always said I'm in showbiz for the money and the anecdotes. I want to experience, I want really amazing stories. So if getting to work with Paul Thomas Anderson, absolutely. Hey, do you want to go on the Hollywood Squares? Yes, I want all of that. I want every part of the canvas covered. I want to be able to explore every corner of it. So that to me is, a big part. And again, it changes you when you experience all this stuff, And the other thing that I got to experience is watching a boom crash. I got into comedy in '88 when it was just at the end of the boom, and then it all fell apart in '92, and then comedy had to really, really survive and figure out the next place it was going to be. So I feel like movies and TV are going to another crash right now, and I don't get as panicked about that, because I'm I've seen it crash, and then I've seen it mutate into something better, and I think that'll happen again for the people that really want to do it.
Yeah, because since I've been in New York, there's been 3 different times where people are like, "Well, live comedy is dead," or and it's like they said it, and I've never actually seen that be the case. It's like live comedy, and I think for the same reason that you said, I cannot stop performing because that's a whole different.
Or whenever
thing.
someone says, when they go live, but again, every art form on a regular, you can set your watch by it. Blank art form is dead. I guess it's over. Movies are over now. We just had, I think, one of the best years of movies in terms of amazing stuff coming out that I've ever gotten to live through. So, yes, obviously we all romanticize the early 70s, the early 90s indie stuff, but 2025 is going to be a historic year in movies. Yeah. Comedy, right now there's some there's some very awful comedy, and there's some very awful types of comedy, and the way it's being structured is very awful. And then you have Josh Johnson doing stuff, and him and a million other people that are but that's a guy in the face of all of this stuff going, okay, how can I do this and still keep creativity? That's a guy that puts out a thing on YouTube every week.
I can't tell if he was nearsighted or farsighted, but he could not see what he was sticking. This man was over here battling. You'd be like, can I get the one up there? He's like, yeah, I got you right now. I got you right now, young blood.
During the writer's strike, he was doing 45 minutes and putting it up on YouTube like twice a week.
And keeps it creative. Yeah. And it's like, okay, are these the new tools? Then I'll use them. And that's no different than in the early 90s when every club closed and comedians were like, I'll just do it in a laundromat. I'll just go do it in this little music club. I'll just keep doing it. And then it will always survive.
Yeah.
But and Josh Johnson is such a great example of, so most comedies watched on YouTube. Well, then I'm going to do really good comedy on YouTube. Why wouldn't I?
Right. I mean, he was already doing great stuff, and the fact that he knew, he was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to lean in, and I'm just going to, and churning out that much content that is that good. Has been really amazing.
That's like onion level quantity and quality. Usually, I think the exception to the rule of you either got quantity or you got quality is someone like a Josh Johnson or an Onion that they just don't miss.
No.
And it is possible, and it's possible to stay excited about the art form that you're in if you're looking for new stuff and you're open to new stuff. But if you are, I have every reason to be pessimistic about comedy if I'm looking at who's actually huge in a lot of the arenas and what is being done as comedy. But I'm like, no, but yeah, I know that thing's really big right now. There was always awful stuff that was huge, and then there was always amazing stuff going on, that you could go enjoy and get behind. So always get behind the amazing stuff. It's always there. It's always there.
Yeah, you just have to find it. I've talked to a bunch of my friends about this, and the consensus is that like the best comedy clubs right now, at least in New York, are the ones that used to be laundromats. If it's not a converted space, then you're not seeing the best comedy.
Yeah, we're seeing the same cycle happen again.
Yeah.
The people that actually want to do it, and then they will find a way to get that stuff out there. I was kind of butting my heads against the comedy clubs in the early aughts because I was lazy. I got lazy. I was on a network sitcom that was very, very successful, but an 8 o'clock Monday night sitcom brings out a certain kind of audience, and I was just like, yeah, I'll just show up and the club is sold out, great. And then I wasn't building my own audience, and I ran into some real friction with that, and that's why I started Comedians of Comedy, which is, I didn't want any label. That's why the whole name Comedians of Comedy makes no sense. It's just comedians, and it's whoever we want on the show, and let's do it in smaller spaces and find people that wouldn't normally go to comedy clubs because they've been chased out over the years by, I can't think of a better way to say it. There were a lot of hacks. But here's the thing. There's always been a lot of hacks doing very, very successful in comedy, and they're very successful for a big, loud, bright, short amount of time, but what matters in the arts is endurance and sticking with it.
And there's a lot of talk
and living through the ups and downs.
Yeah, well, yeah, because that's how you get experience, and that's how you have to work through that in order to You talk about it in your special. You talk about AI, and you talk about the it is here and people are using it.
No, it's not. That's the thing. AI is not going anywhere. We cannot wish this stuff away because we invented it. So So we can't wish it away. So how do we find ways to work around it or find a way to make it human, but beyond the art aspect of it, which is so depressing, the fact that this thing, which should have been here doing medical diagnoses and safety checks on power plants, like that's what AI should be being used for, and people immediately went, have it make movies and paintings. It's like, I thought we were making this to free up all this time so humans could do movies and paintings. You're using this wrong.
They're not thinking about the artists who make the things. Because for artists, the process is part of the joy of making the thing. But AI, it's about the product. It's about the people who get to experience that, and that's all that's important to them.
Exactly. And then after the fact, bragging about the speed and you know how much that cost? It didn't cost anything, and it took 5 minutes. Isn't that amazing? Like, no,
so much water.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think people realize. It took me a long time to realize there are certain comedians. There are also certain musicians that the process of writing songs or writing jokes, they hate that. They don't want that. They want to be at big premieres and on red carpets and doing sponsorships. And if they could just have a machine do that for them. And I like getting to sit down and come up with a joke out of nothing it's never not been thrilling for me. Mm-hmm. When you've got this vague idea and it doesn't work and then it's, oh, wait, I got it. Like that'll never get old for me. And you realize there are certain people that they hate that. They hate that. They want to fast forward to the rewards. Look, I like the rewards too, but the rewards are only fun if you got it. It's almost like the getting away with it. I got all this success from making up things out of thin air and making, like, there's something beautiful about that. And they want to take the magic trick away.
Yeah, well, I mean, just listening to your albums again, it's like your voice has, as any good artist, has evolved over the course of your career.
Yeah, yeah.
Where would you say are those are the biggest sort of points of evolution for you?
The biggest points of evolution first was the first time I went on stage, because that is a point of evolution, is that you get over the anxiety of going on stage. You have to do the initial, you go on stage, and I ate it, because that's what you do, but you get over and then it took a few months, almost a year, and then I was able to start doing really solid comedy that I knew would do well in front of an audience, but I was keeping the audience in mind, very much in mind. And then I moved to San Francisco, and I saw this whole generation of comedians that I could not believe I was seeing. That it wasn't that they hated the audience, but they're like, I don't have the audience in mind here. This is stuff I like. So then I had to scrap everything that I knew from being on the road. I was a very good road comic, but it was the most forgettable, it was just easy road stuff. And then I had to completely redo everything. And then one of my last evolutions was, then I really started getting good, but as myself, like my point of view is getting across. And I remember this so clearly. I went up to Seattle for a weekend, and I had one of the best weekends I've ever had at a comedy club. And it felt like, oh, I've broken through. Like my voice is now being heard. And then I got into my head, because failure messes you up first, and then success messes you up. And I came back to San Francisco, and I remember this so clearly. From January of 1994 until April of 1994, I was so in my head, I could not get a laugh. I would torpedo every set. I was so self-conscious. I was so into the wonder of me and the legacy. I remember this so clearly, to the point where the owner of Cobb's, guy Tom Sawyer, would go, how are you going to torpedo your set tonight? Because I was so into my head. And then that next evolution was me admitting on stage, because I wanted to go on stage and just be cool and just talk about, like, I'm bringing you guys the wisdom and you're lucky. And then I had to, and I wouldn't acknowledge when it wasn't going well. And then there was one I was just like, Jesus, this bit is going fucking nowhere. What am I thinking with this? And then I opened up to that, and then that was this other huge step of going, oh yeah, you will have these great peaks, and then they go down a way, and then they go and if you embrace the whole thing, then even the plummet you can make entertaining and fun for the audience.
Well, yeah, because you're being present and you're using all of your tools. This night I became very, very present at Cobb's. I remember this so clearly. It was set,
and I was 5 minutes. It was like a 15-minute set. 5 minutes into it on a Monday night, and I had just nothing was working, and I just went, all right, I don't know what the is happening. I think this is me. I went up here and I just started talking about my whole thing. And I mean, what was weird was there were clues around me that I hadn't quite picked up on. People like Todd Glass and Andy Kindler and Dana Gould, these people that could go on stage and be so raw and literally talk to you about what was happening in each moment and be present in that and still be funny. And I finally was able to break through to that level.
That's huge. I spent about 10 years doing stand-up, and the whole time I was just trying to be good. I was like, I know the comedy formula. I listened to it so much.
Yeah.
And I was just trying, I
want to master the formula.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to master the formula, which is masterable. And then, now, where's your voice?
Exactly, and that's so. When my father passed away, I took a little bit of a break, and I came back, and I was like, I don't even think this is funny, but this is just what I'm going through.
Yep.
And my buddy, who I had been doing stand up with, in New York for a few years, afterwards he was like, this is where you should be.
And that's the moments they'll remember.
Yeah.
Those are the moments they go, oh, wow, something's actually real is happening right now. Because there were those nights, and especially you would see those headliners from the 80s. And this happens every generation too. There's always a handful that goes, I've written my hour, I'm done writing. And their cadence becomes this, just reciting my hour. And there's no actual interaction with the audience. There's no acknowledgement of each moment. There's no such thing as a perfect set. Because again, an audience is a verb. It's different every night. So you've got to acknowledge that. There's a comedian I'm friends with named Jim Norton. And he posts clips on his Instagram, and he posts clips of him doing really well, and he also posts clips of himself trying out a bit and literally just going, this bit is bombing. This is bombing. I really believed in this bit. Thank you for helping me assassinate it. This should not have been which I think is so helpful to young comedians that, people that are doing it a long time, you can go up and just go, wow, this thought that would work. Sorry about that. But that's so much more captivating.
Yeah.
110%. It's
every
Andy
time.
Kindler on Letterman when he did 3 jokes in a row that just did not work. And then he just goes, folks, I don't write this stuff. Which got this huge. The audience is like, okay. Because then it's like, Yes, I'm an artist. Yes, I'm in the creative arts. This is also a job, and we all have shitty days on our jobs where you show up and you're like, I'm just not doing it. I don't know why I'm not clicking today. It happens.
Yeah, because in those moments, sometimes that fourth wall needs to come down, and you need to be like, we're all experiencing this together.
Do you feel this, right? This is awful. What happened? Right. Yeah. But now I think I'm at that stage where when everyone talks about you got to get bulletproof, but bulletproof doesn't mean you never have a bad set. Bulletproof means you can take bullets and then still make something out of that. Yeah. They don't ping off of you.
Because if they don't hit you, then what are you learning? What are you doing?
And what are they engaging with? If you're just up there and then this and then this and at this, in this punchline, I look at this side of the stage. And then when I get to this punch, you've seen those nights. And by the way, we've also had those nights where you're like, oh, I'm not really engaging. This is like when you're doing your third show on a Saturday night and you're like, you got to stop yourself and go, wait, just be here right now. All that matters is right now. In your mind, you're like, so if I get back to my hotel, I should probably pack tonight because they're picking me up at 7 tomorrow. So you'll go through that shit in your head. Yeah. And you got to stop yourself and just go, no, this is special.
Yeah, autopilot is the death of a good set.
Oh, yeah. Autopilot and cool. Cool is the death of, when you're trying to be cool, you're dead. You're just dead. You're not funny.
So, final question, because I gotta let you go. But
this was a really good conversation, by the way. This felt really. There's a lot of that. You started with questions in a notebook, and then it just turned into us like, oh yeah, man, this one time with this book. It almost felt like, hey, you can go talk to go circulate the party. Hey man, remember this one time? That's when an interview gets really, really good.
Yeah. That's my favorites because it's the pretense is gone. on. I mean, it's
Right,
it's the same deal where it's just like that's because then otherwise like I don't know. I like it when it feels like a conversation.
Yeah.
And I've also looked up to you.
By
for
the
a
way,
long time,
an interview is also an art form. You know, and I'm sure you've been through plenty of interviews where and they're just like, what's it like being funny? You were on King of Queens. What's that like? You're not. Do you want to do this? Like, just have something to talk about,
right? Like,
So,
do you even care? Like, why?
Yeah, we don't. Yeah,
but well, I guess the last question as it relates to the new special. You mentioned that it feels like a return to like the freedom that you had when you were just doing.
It was so. I just want to do. I really want this Audible thing to go well because this is how I'd like to do all my albums. This was so freeing. Like, oh, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. This is so great. If I do one of these a year, I'm just so excited right now that they've jumped on this format.
I agree, and I was telling Michael earlier that I mean, I've loved your last few specials. I love Everything is one of my favorites. I'd listen to it.
Oh, thanks, man.
My wife and I, whenever we drive long distances, we'll listen to comedy. We won't listen to music, and that's on constant rotation.
Thank you.
But this felt, there's something about it. It's so tight, and the jokes land, and it's just like the stories are so rich.
Yeah.
And I've been telling people about the Hobby Lobby story just because I think that the dinosaurs is such a beautiful moment. But also I stole a joke of yours this weekend.
Oh.
I was watching K-pop Demon Hunters with my with my niece and nephew.
Okay.
And it was like halfway through, and she said something, and it was obviously she was about to sing, and I took the profanity out, but I just said, "Why don't you sing about it?" And my niece and nephew died, and I was like, that's it.
It works everywhere.
Yeah, it works every time.
Well, and if you listen to the album, you'll understand what that means. Right. But that's a huge. I mean, that's the climax, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah.